Good evening. Tonight we've got Ric Coulson on TABA. Ric, first of all, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time and look forward to hearing your story. So what I tend to... Go on, sorry, Ric.
Yeah, no, so I was just going to say you're welcome. Thank you.
What I do, mate, is I like to go back to the start, find out where you grew up and stuff like that, because it sort of gives me a bit of knowledge and where you came from and why you've done what you've done.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town village called Baildon in West Yorkshire. It's near Shipley, and Bradford is main city. So just on the outskirts there with Moorland around me and Glens. And I went to grammar school, and it was during that period that I had family which influenced the military side of things, and the visibility teams as well. So I always had like a vested interest in military, and then joining cadets, it took it to another, and I was actually in para cadets. And given that I'd gone Royal Marines later on,
Yeah,
we had like bootnecks and paras in my family, of the past. So yeah, I ended up, two of us went Royal Marines, and one went para, and I think a couple of them went Duke of Wellingtons, which is a Yorkshire regiment.
yeah. So a lot of people I speak to, Ric, they tell me that for me as well, going to the military, it was a way out, but it sounds like yourself, it was sort of a path that you were always going to take anyway.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, being embedded from a young age that I wanted to do that. I had an interest in it, and
Yeah,
I initially sort of like inquired when I was 16, and obviously I was far too young, maturity wise, for Marines then. And the one actually recruiting this mid-90s, so there were obviously an undergapping which caught up, which were lucky for me, obviously, and a lot of lads with promotion further on. But I'm glad I didn't try at that point. I wasn't mature enough. I was lucky at a month after my 18th I joined. Obviously I'd had quite a harder upbringing than say those now, didn't have central eating and stuff like that. And you're always playing outdoors all weathers anyway, and they want that the technology which they've got now. So you always improvised, you were always out no matter any weather. So that, and our training as well. So it helped in a lot of ways, as a foundation, doing a lot of sport and everything else. That does help, but it's a total different fitness, no matter how much you train for something, And I've been on other end of the coin teaching recruits. So, no matter how fit you are, they'll always get you out, but you'll always find something of a challenge, whether it be the academic or the physical tests.
yeah. In terms of academically, Ric, were you pretty good at school, or was it just was
I
school
was
just
up
like
until a certain point, which is personal, and then my grades started going down. But I had no problems in the Marines academic wise. I'd flunked a few of my GCSEs, and then I was lucky I was on board. I was in a small unit at the time, a small squadron, and we were doing a lot. This was pre-September 11th, so we're doing a lot of Mediterranean deployments on the Royal Fleet Auxiliary LSL vessels. So I was an education officer on there, and I redid my English and maths, which are your crucial ones, really. Obviously, at highest grade, when you're redoing it for GCSE, is a C anyway. You can't get higher than that. So I did that whilst on board ship, floating around Mediterranean. So that got my grades back up again, for like qualified educationally for warrant officer, for example, or
yeah,
specialised courses. There's a certain educational requirement, but people now tend to be more educated. There's not as much difference educationally wise between officers and lads now. You tend to find a lot of the lads have got more quals and or letters after the name technically and degrees than what the officers have. But that was still quite paramount when I were joining up.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It was the same in the army. It was, Ric. It was I didn't get any education done until I was probably a sergeant. and then it stopped because you now need to get to certain education level before you can promote to corporal and beyond. So I think a lot of it's done in training now as well. If you don't go in with anything, in training will help you out, especially at Harrogate and places like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my sibling, he was one of the first instructors at Pennypot Lane, Harrogate. I mean, that's only 19 miles from where I grew up, so I used to go over and visit him. And when the Army Foundation College first opened up in back end of '90s, that was.
Yeah, I remember. I think I was probably just a year too old to go there.
Right.
But when I was in Bovington, I was there with a lot of lads who came through there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you could tell the difference with the year training to the sort of 13, 14 weeks getting absolutely thrashed.
Yeah.
They're a lot more knowledge than us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like the old junior leaders evolved where
yeah,
a year's training, as it were. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. See, in terms of the cadets, I've got a lot of time for the cadets. I used to be an instructor with them. Do you think that stood you in good stead for when you eventually went down to Limpstone, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, Limston, yeah. Certain elements of it did, the phys side of it, because we're obviously being para cadets, and the field craft, certain stuff you just remembered. Obviously, certain things are always critiqued, like the section battle drills and everything else. So certain things, but you had a foundation of little bits you just remembered, which helped you. Of course it did. And your kit inspections and stuff, you're never going to be perfect. You're knackered, you're tired. You're going to keep up even if you're immaculate. That's the whole point of it. So, yeah, but of course it did. Yeah, of course it did.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of male role models in my family anyway. So, like, who'd been military as well. So you learn stuff from them, little bits like tips and tricks on ironing or, bulling your boots or whatever else. So there's all little things which you don't realize at time, but have helped you. But it's still a massive shock. It's a massive culture shock when you hit training. Everyone's lunatic.
What age were you? 18, did you say, Rick? And what year
Just
was
a
that when
month
you
after
joined?
my 18th, yeah, I passed my potential recruits course, when I was 17, and they asked me if I wanted to join just before the Christmas, and this was 96, and I thought, no, I'll have Christmas at home as a civvy, and then I'll join. So I did. I joined 6th of January 97, which was a month exactly after my birthday. Yeah,
So
18.
I think, yeah, it's easy to find, but tell us a tiny bit about the commando the year-long training and all the commando tests and stuff like that. How
Yeah,
hard was that for a young 18-year-old?
well, for me, I mean, if you think about it, I would recommend people join a little bit older because when you're maturer, you can go out and see a bit of life or college or whatever else, uni, but your body's still developing. If you think about it, until
Yeah.
say on average 21. So, but there's a culture shock. You're going into something. You used to see people being sick on the warm ups, and you're like, have you actually done any training for this? But even still, there's a lot of emphasis on the upper body. So when I went through training, it was 32 weeks, and then it went up to 32 weeks with the extra weapon systems and the put in an MVQ, which was a Public Level Service 2 award. So there's more educational for them. And them 30 weeks, as you can imagine, you're on a progression of, your administration. You're working as an individual into a team. So everything's progressive and there's criteria as you go through, whether it be the gym test, physical, and then you've got the academic as well. And you come to the midpoint and they have an exercise called Baptist Run, and that's just a test on your skills at that point, whether it be your fire control orders or your map reading at that point, with mini navexes. There's obviously the kit inspections and stuff, because every time you go in the field for the first half of training, you are inspected every morning, no matter what you're doing. And you're spending a lot of time in the field. It's, you join on the Monday, you're in the field on the Saturday. So it's that quick. You're in that quick with your kit, and you taught obviously the basics from there, and then your field craft comes in, and everything else, and your map reading, your skillet arms, and then it culminates at that Baptist run. And I did quite well on it, actually. I think I remember I came fourth out of my troop. So I didn't do too bad, which I surprised myself in bits. But the academic, I were all right with. A few people do struggle with the upper body, and that's with the rope climbing, and it's progressive to the bottom, what they call the bottom field, which is the assault course. Now the ropes there are totally different to the gym. One, the bigger, the wider. They've got boot polish on. And when you start learning the technique to go up a rope for rope climbing, is you do add the weight on, but there becomes a point where the technique's a bit harder to do it because you're leaning back. And then, so you've got to learn to climb with your legs. That is so key, crucial, because you can't walk on your arms or your hands as long as you can your legs. So it's a no-brainer. You've got to try and put that in. And there's tests there on the bottom field at early week 20 odd. And then you sort of like, you do that in the morning, then you go and do your digging in exercise that afternoon and hold fast. they've put you straight, you're still constantly doing it. And it's a progression of tests all the way through. And if you don't meet that criteria, it's like you do your battle swimming testing first week, but you will not pass out of training until you've done it. It doesn't matter if you pass everything else. There's set criteria you've got to pass. And then you build up to obviously your final exercise, commando phase of training. You do a 6 mile speed march, and then wear the cap comforter, which the old commandos of old used to wear. And that represents from them getting off the train station at Achnacarry and having to speed march with their kit at a certain pace up to the training area. Anybody who didn't meet that timing was instantly RTU'd, and this is obviously during World War II. So they replicate that from when you start the commando phase of training, which used to be about week 24. And then once you put that cap comfort, and it's a 6 mile speed march at a 10-minute mile pace, so you've got 60 minutes, and you should always be battle fit afterwards. So i.e. you should be able to conduct an attack. Is you have to run everywhere when you've put that on, unless you're injured. You've got to double everywhere in camp. Obviously not in field, because obviously patrolling and everything else, but when in camp you've got that on, it denotes you're in commando phase of training, which is the last period, and then you have to double everywhere. You've been wanting to get it, because obviously, you see other people with it. So as set things which you're aiming for, you're not just aiming for that green berry. It seems so long, but like when you're on a training team, to be on the other side of the coin, it's fantastic, but it doesn't go as fast.
Yeah.
It goes faster, and it doesn't go as fast when you're the actual recruit. So there's set things throughout. And if you don't meet it, you get what they call back troops. So a troop joins every 2 weeks normally, 50 guys or whatever else. I don't know specific numbers now. And you would, depending on the reasons why, through injury or criteria, you'll go into what's called Hunter Company. It was called Hunter Troop back then when I was in training. And that's where, obviously you'll have your remedial fitness, and then that'll get the recruit ready back to go back into commando training, and join a recruit troop. And then they can obviously pass out with that troop. So there's not many people who pass out as an original person going all the way through, because injuries are paramount. People fail stuff, so the percentages are up there. If you're putting 110% in, I will help you get there, because you're putting 110% every time. Didn't matter what it's applicable to, because we're not all good at everything.
Yeah.
But, there has to be. So it's like if you on the bottom field, there's 4 tests. There's a 30-foot rope climb, the assault course under 5 minutes, 200-meter fireman's carry in X amount of seconds, I think 90 seconds, and then the regain over the water tank. And it's always 22, well, it used to be 22 pounds, and then your 10-pound rifle. So if you fail one, you're allowed to instantly have a go at the other one. So you're allowed to fail weight. Same with the commando test, the 4 commando tests. We started off with the endurance course. It used to be on a Friday. Then you did on the Saturday, you did the 9-mile speed march and you got drummed into camp. And that meant you were King Squad because that Friday, another troop had just passed out. So you're now the senior recruit troop in training. And you get drummed in. And then you had the Sunday off, you're doing your admin. And all these commando tests have to be done, or the criteria was within a week of coming off final exercise. So you've got your run throughs to practice as well. So, for example, you do the endurance course, you've got to be up there for 7 o'clock, and it's 4 miles away. And you've got to do the 2-mile course and the 4-mile run back. So it's just be there for 7 o'clock. But you're at that stage in training where you're that close to passing out, so there's responsibility on you. Same with the field firing. They have what we call the section commanders and diamonds, so i.e. the guys who've been seen for the leadership and stuff. They will be not running because it's safety supervised, but a live attack. They'll be playing that corporal.
Yeah.
So for advancement, it's really good like that as well. And then the last of the commando test on the Monday, you did the Tarzan assault course in the morning, which is a Tarzan course and the assault course, and you had 13 minutes to do that. And then you go up to Oldcampton Battle Camp, ready for the Tuesday morning to start your 30-miler, and you do that in your syndicates, i.e. sections, and your section corporal will run that. And you obviously have more weight on when you safety stores and stuff. Obviously, i.e. a day sack. So and then now they get presented their green lid. That were different for when I went through training. We got issued our commando flashes for your Jersey Will Heavy,
right?
The red and black ones, and then you went to the stores on the Wednesday and got your green berry. For anybody who's failed one, they'd then do a rerun. But everyone gets off the 4-tonner after 30-miler. Your body's broken at that point,
Yeah.
You are, and then they've got obviously reruns, so you're all getting off at back at 4-tonner like Johnny Hat-tricks and walking like John Wayne, and you're getting shouted at to start doubling because you've got your comforter on, and there's like no chance. And then you just spend the next week and a half before you pass out from that Wednesday just doing 9 hours a day drill and admin. That's it, because you've done all the tests. You still get thrashed. I won't obviously mention it because there's a surprise in there, and it's to keep you in reality check.
Yeah.
But, because technically at that point you're the king of shits until you pass out, then you're back to the bottom again. But yeah, so you're just doing it. So the drill is really personal. It's really, I think I remember with a band marching on to and Royal Marines Band are obviously well known worldwide, to Thunderbirds, then you have an individual presentation of your Greenberry, which is, and they do a one-liner, your troop boss speaks a one-liner about you, and then your company commander presents you with your Greenberry in front of everybody in Falklands Hall. So it's a very intimate little thing for families that day on King Squad pass out. Which is a really nice touch. And there's obviously presentations from, if the top recruits deserved it, he'll be awarded the King's Badge, which is a King's cipher. And he can wear that in any rank all the way through his career. And then there's a commando medalist, so the one who's shown the commando qualities through training, that's voted by the troop.
Right.
To the guy. So that's a nice touch. And then they have the best section Thule trophy, it's called. I think I've got my certificate somewhere. So it's a nice little touch just to be part of best section. I'm sure they're just flying or just spin, just randomly pick now. So yeah, that's a nice, there's little nice touches like that from it. And I was relieved by the end of it. I was so tired. I mean, really, really exhausted by the end of it.
Yeah, you put your body through a lot getting through that, and it's world renowned, isn't it? The whole course is world renowned.
Yeah, well, the recon on average, it takes about 18 months for your body to recover from it. So it's you can see there just in it's at 18 months. But I mean, I was like 10 stone. So you eventually bulk out because you were burning that many carbs. I mean, I remember when I went through training and they got the fourth meal introduced. And sorry, can you hear that background noise?
That's cool. Don't worry about it.
Right. So yeah. 2 secs. Yeah. And Daley Thompson were instrumental in getting the fourth meal introduced, which were just like at 9 o'clock. So he called it 9 o'clockers, and it were just like chips and burgers, just more carbs. You just needing them carbs. So when you pass out, you naturally start bulking out anyway because you're not burning as much as what you're going training, and that's why everyone goes stocky. You know, you can tell even you don't lose it. For most guys don't lose that unless they're like that. I remember being 10.5 stone. So yeah, when I passed out. So that gives you a really good foundation to start your career in what you're going to go into. And there's things known as direct specialization schemes. So, you know, it could be right. Certain lads are ping for driver and stuff like that. Not everybody goes general duties because there might be a shortfall of specializations like that. So yeah, and I was lucky in mine. I did two specializations, so I got to go around the different units in the corps. It's bigger. It's not like the army where you got like one barracks that's you, and that goes or moves, or you might stay for a bit. In Marines, you'll travel around the units, and you might, whether it be back then it was the fighting units, which there was 3 of 40 commando, 42 commando, and 45 commando. And obviously it's re-rolled and changed now. But you might be lucky. Some guys were lucky to stay at 4-5 and stuff like that. So they try and keep people there, but depending on your specialization, then you'll naturally move around the corps. And there's a lot of drafts abroad as well, you know, depending on your rank and what you specialize in. So I'd done communications up to a corporal level. Bowmen were just coming in, so I managed to get out of that. From analog to digital system from Clansman. And I've gone up to S2 level, Sigma Class 2, which is corporal. Well, not you can be a Marine S2 and you still need to do your command course. So the long courses, like my Sigma Class 3 course was like 14 weeks course. And then your S2 one was just shy of that. So when you do your corporal, you could be, if you're a rifleman, like we call GD, general duties, you do a junior command course, and that's you promoted to corporal. So back then, whereas if you were a Sigma, you'd do that, then you had to do your Sigma Class 2 course. But they had different pay levels anyway. So I relinquished that at corporal and went weapons, so the platoon weapons branch, and the whole Marines had changed, where it used to just be only the platoon weapons branch, who predominantly, and some of the heavy weapons guys teaching at Lympston as in your section corporal. You need like a platoon weapons class 1 sergeant to run the ranges, the certain ranges.
Yeah.
So, especially for the field firing. So they changed it where they brought in a course for everybody, and then you had a cross section of the Marines teaching, which makes sense, you know. So a chef could do that. He's still a Marine. He's still done training. He's still done all that, and then he'll do what's known as a skill at arms course, which was 8 weeks, and that'll give him all his tickets for range conducting officer and safety supervising. So I'd done the 8 week skill at arms, and then I went on to a training team, which is fantastic. 18 months to take lads through. It's a privilege, really is a privilege. You go back to your basic soldiering yourself. And to teach, and your due diligence to teach, you know. And it's nice now, a lot of guys I've taught are still serving, officers, SBS, you know, there's a cross section of guys that are smashing it in civic training. It's so nice to see that, and I'm still in touch with them. And I was quite a young corporal, you know, so I'd done my command course after 5 years, 5.5 years, which were quite good. It's not too bad. The Marines of old, you know, it might have been 10-year point, and your sergeant 15 years. So and then I did another 4-week course, what were known as a company weapons instructors course, and that included 338 long range rifle, sniper rifle.
Okay.
The everything from pistol to your gun line commanders course, GPM, GSF. One of the guys I did that is current core RSM now. So is Nick. So, you know, it's things that you remember and that were good. And then I was lucky in my drafts, very lucky in what I did round the core, you know.
Yeah. So, sort of pre 9/11, how busy were you before? Because after 9/11, the whole military just became busy, didn't we?
It did, but
Um,
you had Bosnia, you had Kosovo, you had Northern Ireland. I'd done Sierra Leone in
yeah.
2000 twice that year. Obviously, I were on exercise in France the first time, ready for Fort Police, and I was in a small squadron, boating squadron called 539 Assault Squadron, and I was the one of the raiding troop signalers. So I ended up being the signaler for them, and we're splitting at 2 boat teams. And then I was acting as a second coxswain as well, because it were only a small squadron, 100 guys, but there were like say 20 of us currently deployed when we got redeployed down to West Africa. So we had a lot of Mediterranean deployment. They're called the Amphibious Ready Group, the ARGs. So it'd be either exercise Argonaut or exercise Aurora, and then you always had your Curry Trails, which was your jungle warfare training, and you had your winter deployments, which was your Arctic warfare training. Yeah. So they were calling you were always busy. The tempo obviously changed post 9/11, and I was in Turkey, and I was lucky. I was going in a landing craft with my CO, and he informed me that the Twin Towers had been hit, and we were cross training with Turkish commandos at that point. But we didn't see it for another week afterwards on the news and stuff. You know, I mean, the comms weren't like they are now. You know, I didn't see it, and all our R&Rs and stuff, what we'd had planned, like scuba diving in a girder and stuff in Egypt, all cancelled straight off the bat. And where we're supposed to dock in Marmaris, we went and docked in a secure Turkish naval yard before we, went and had R&R. So it was busy, but after the operational constant. I mean, all right, before you had NI training and you know, and K4 training and all that, and I down. You used to got a couple downers, you know, and then obviously down lid. But from then on in, and after teaching recruits and the first Afghan, there was a rotation. You sort of like some lads would come back from deployment, go straight on pre-deployment training and go straight out again because they've got to another unit. Because the rotation for Afghanistan within the Marines was 4-2 commando and 4-5 commando. That was the basis of the battle group. 40 commando used to go with the army and a mechanized brigade.
Yeah.
For some reason. I don't know why. So but you could sort of like go on deployment with 4 or 5, come back and go straight on, and a lot of lads did that. And you know, one of the guys were killed, Paul Warren. You know, his dad Cliff's on my social media, and he'd been in Sangin with us, gone back out to Sangin, so he knew the AO. And you know, unfortunately, Paul was killed on that tour with 40 commando. You know, same with my cousin was an engineer, Jordan from Belden, my hometown. He was killed 6 weeks after I just got back working. I'd gone out as Conco, met the Irish Rangers. I was with Speedy, so he, you know, for a month, Trevor Colt, and then our lads, you brief your own lads coming in, even your party and stuff like that. And unfortunately, yeah, so I did 7 months on Herrick 9 in Sangin as a close combat section commander. My troop sergeant, unfortunately, was blown up, lost his leg. So I was the senior corporal at that point. I've been in 12 years, you know. So I need to think, oh, why wasn't I a sergeant then? Well, I'd done acting sergeant's jobs, but remember, I relinquished one specialisation. So just because I might have done longer, I can't just go into that branch and say, well, I've done longer than you because they've done longer in the branch.
Right.
I've still got to prove my worth. So it's seniority wise. So I'd done that was my fourth draft as a corporal, and I was due on my seniors, and I decided to leave after we'd lost 10 from 4-5 Commando I was serving with Whiskey Company in Sangin, and my cousin had been killed in the same area. I'd set the patrol base up. My troop had set that up, so I knew exactly where he was in East of Sangin, and that was a catalyst for me. It made me very ill, very ill.
Yeah.
I was some burnout anyway after all years. I'd worked 6 units in corps, 2 specializations. So I'd known quite a lot of guys. I knew a lot of guys. I did maritime interdiction operations for 2 years off Somalia and stuff, and the force protection duties as a team commander. So I work in a 6-man team there, and I worked a couple of teams. 2 of them guys, unfortunately, killed in Afghanistan. One whilst I was serving,
Yeah.
literally just after I'd left, 2 months after I'd left corps. So there becomes a point, the statistics of it and the operational tempo. I didn't mind that, that's what I joined for. It's like a fireman joining and not fighting a fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Addictive about being shot at. And in a contact, but what's not addictive is on your belt buckle, not trained like a search team. And
Yeah.
I'm going for IEDs, but you can't worry too much. You just got to get on with it, and use your tactical acumen as best as you can. And sometimes it's a lottery, that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I was out on 10, 11, so
Yeah,
the one after yourself. I was out on the Vikings,
yeah,
and I mean, great vehicles, and totally different to what you guys were doing, because you were obviously on your feet a lot.
yeah. We had
Um,
jackals as well for like when we were queuing
yeah,
out and you'd rotate round. Yeah,
yeah, so a lot more dangerous for the guys on the ground than it was for us in the vehicles. The vehicles weren't the best. I shouldn't say they weren't the best because they were great vehicles and they got upgraded a lot out there.
yeah.
But still, when initially they went out, if they get hit, they were pretty shit for that. You know what I mean? There was no
Yeah, well, the
protection
old
on them.
Wimmick squads, the old Wimmick, yeah.
Yeah, like the old BVs out in Norway. That's what it was essentially. And
Yeah, the
initially,
old 206, yeah. Yeah,
yeah, but,
yeah. Yeah. Well, my cousin was killed on Herrick 10, so yeah, where he was part of Herrick 10. It was
yeah,
his first proper operational deployment. They'd been in Ireland. And I'd seen him just before I deployed, and I decided to have my birthday before. I was a bit like Queen that year. I decided to have my birthday in August before I deployed because it was my 30th coming up. So, but I'll have it before I go because literally I might be coming back with no legs, or brown bread. Like, because as soon as our company was going to Sangin, and then I volunteered obviously to go out a month early. I didn't mind that, You just it don't matter where you are, you just get on with it, that.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and yeah, so Herrick 10, unfortunately, and that was the summer 2009 where they just got we got hammered, like
yeah,
the British military, and the IEDs. We were finding one every however many hours anyway. And same with the call signs in Sang on the east of Sang called Wishton. And I know that my siblings' regiment, the whole company of them ripped another company of the rifles because they'd been hit that bad that summer 2009.
yeah. So I went up to Sangam when I was there on 10, and it was the rifles at that point that were up there. And when I seen them, they were,
Well,
excuse the
their
language, but
Conco,
they
I
get smashed.
hosted their Conco because I've
Yeah,
been Conco myself when he came out, Corporal, gingerhead guy, and then I subsequently found out that he's double amputee. So it keeps bringing it on. Like you have your statistics for those kills. Like we'd lost 10 from our battle group, 4-5 commando battle group, and then you start adding in your wounded, and you start down in one in whatever. I heard of something like 1 in 3 for rifles or something in that in Wishton. And I'd set that up over Yanks. We'd changed it, and then a lot of when the Yanks did come back into Sangin, they did a documentary and they blew all the wall going down to what were known as Pharmacy Road from the patrol base Tangiers to Wishton, because we obviously had troops. At one point, my company commander was in charge of more troops than what the COO was because we were that short of guys. When we hit Sangin, we had 90 guys, 100 guys to do that AO, including the bazaar. So we ended up getting a trooper, Gurkhas in, they did the AO, the bazaar. We had other troops, so it put pressure on the other companies, troops from the other companies to come in. So instead of having 3 troops, I think we went up to 67 troops to cover Sangin. And then when the Yanks went in, they had I think for 2,000 to 3,000 guys. It's like, wow. I love that. But we kept we like in Sangin, we were doing 2 patrols a day at points on 6 little bottles of water. I mean, a proper hard routine, no heat, anything like that. Arid conditions, and you're only going out with so many. Obviously, I'm not trying to give away tactics, but your syndicates going out and ground just constantly trying to satellite each other, constantly had to come over each other, and it was the best way of patrolling, and paramount, absolutely paramount with your satellite call sign, and you're changing your tactics as you go constantly on the ground, anticipatory orders, everything non-stop. It's like I used to say to my guys, if you're going to shoot someone, just shoot them. Do not tell me on the radio, on my PRR. I'm listening to 2 nets anyway. So it's just get the shots down, the one in the lethal, and then brief me after it, because they could be at the back.
Yeah.
Well, they're still within the bubble, but it's so, well, basically, you say if you don't pull it, you're on first flight out, like, because the split second is so crucial, and the dicking, you're getting dick constantly anyway. As soon as you set that fob, you are getting dicked. So, you're obviously acting under your ROE and your JSP.
Yeah, absolutely. So after that 12 years, time to move on, and you left at that point, Rick?
Yeah, well, I did 13 and a half. And
13 and a half, sorry.
The Corps had extended me 4 months because I'd become ill, really ill. And, lads, a lot of lads concerned and just want me, sprightly guy, confident, all this, spring in your step. And I just quick on like literally a hermit, which just wasn't me. I ended up on trial for something I didn't do, which I wish I would have done now with all the stress what I put me through. And I moved back from Somerset to Bradford, and I ended up just in a shit job. And I was just like, what am I doing? I've turned my seniors down. I'm on a good wage, or corporal level 7 or 7, highest tier. So it wasn't about money. I'm comfortable. It was never about money anyway. And I phoned my mate up, a childhood friend who I knew were working on Crossrail, and he was on the tender team for one of the companies. And I said, can you get us a job? And 7 months later, I went down. This what back end of 2011, October 2011, and I managed to get a very, very good job, and it progressed into another very good job down there in London, and that was in major projects construction. And then my mum was terminally ill, and I moved back to Yorkshire, obviously family first, and not the wisest of moves, but that were what were important to me at that time. And last I'd met, I got pregnant. I was doing a charity challenge at the time, just after my mum's death. I was trying to walk length of Britain backwards like a lunatic. I had massive sponsors. I mean, I wasn't even pissed when I came up with the idea. And I was doing it for a small Royal Marine charity called Help Our Wounded Royal Marines and Supporting Arms.
Yeah,
And I was a regional coordinator for him whilst I was down in London, just helping out volunteering. And then for Macmillan Cancer Support, given my mum, passed with cancer. So I just thought, what can I do to raise awareness in a different way? It's got to challenge me. I could have
yeah,
walked forward. I could have possibly run it at that point. I was still fit. I was doing outdoor fitness and stuff, and I came up with that. And I had massive sponsors: NRG brand, Coffee Republic, Alfred's, Morrison's, Sweatshop, SOS Rehydrate. List goes on, And I had training, and I did the 1,664 kilometers on the treadmill, so it's about nearly 1,100 miles. 1,664, obviously, being the year Marines were formed.
yeah,
And then I got about 200 and odd miles on the actual challenge. I just couldn't get the support to help out. I was needing it. For somebody to drive, stores and stuff like that. It's walking backwards, but it raised good awareness. It went, a lot of media at the time, and I had a 1948 Olympic torch. An old boy had lent me. Old commando, actually, World War II commando. I just had a radio interview I was doing. So you don't realise power of what you're doing with media, TV and
yeah.
radio. And he says, if it helps raise you some money, Rick. And he lent me it for 6 months. I never met him before. It's past now as John, unfortunately. And just going down and meeting him and his wife, and he'd been married 60 years. Just fantastic guy,
Yeah,
He's really kind, and it was an honour to obviously carry that on his behalf. And I'd love to finish it, even if I had to do it in stages. It's just so right.
yeah.
A bit first British person to ever do it. It's like, because I wanted to do that and then go and do America. So
Right.
got all
But
this.
backwards as well.
Pardon?
Backwards as well.
Yeah, well, it's
Do it.
been done, but I reckon I'd have smashed the record because I'd have cracked a 30 miler a day, and on them flats and open spaces, not a problem. 50K, not a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and it's obviously 3,000 miles. So I was thinking, right, I'll do it in 100 days, and I'll take 20 days off at record or whatever it was, because it had given me the basis more. So if I'd have done the British joggle, John,
yeah.
I'd done the whole A9. And obviously you've
Well,
been Scottish yourself, you know that. So I'd done that.
that's an achievement in itself, though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
So, like when I said earlier, I was an instructor for the cadets. So I was actually in Inverness, so
yeah.
I know the name pretty well.
Yeah, oh, I
So
went
to
up
do
that big
that,
hill
mate, well
there.
done.
Scottish television tried interviewing me going up that hill, and the guy doing it from STV, because it went out on the 6 o'clock news. Those who don't know, it's like the BBC, it's massive.
Yeah,
And I caused a traffic jam that morning from it, Van and Services. Van and Services it was. And so I'd done like a thing going, I wonder who's causing this traffic jam. And just so happened when a cameraman were going into work, and went, you should see this lunatic. So they come and interviewed me, and he tried walking back. I said, you won't be able to keep up. I've already done 1,400 miles or whatever at that point. Obviously treadmill, and then actually on the
yeah,
come down from obviously from John O'Groats, and we went up that massive hill, like a few miles, like going up towards Slot Summit.
yeah,
No, sorry, that was from the Kamati Bridge. Sorry, going up there. I think it's called Kamati Bridge. And I'm going up there, and I
uh,
just told him to walk forwards in end. And anyway, when they put the interview out, they held obviously the proclaimers on, didn't they? Miles,
well,
they had
I mean,
to,
to
it
walk
raised
in,
a lot of awareness, and that was the best thing, because Macmillan obviously a big, the biggest charities in the UK, but the smaller charity wanted just about the money you raise for them, and 100% of their money, 100% going to the lads, is
yeah,
it's people hearing about it, and they've subsequently raised money for them. So it is just that, passing it on constantly. and you get help. And I've had help myself, and I was diagnosed in service with PTSD, and I've always gone on the coaching journey. I've used places, and if the audience haven't found or heard of, like Rock to Recovery, and I've got one at Rocks in here. I'm just currently doing an exhibition and sat in a place where I'm doing it, and I got Foxy to sign one at Rocks, and it's from Nowzad in Afghan, and it just says "Find Your Rock," and he set up a charity with my friend and a former colleague, Jamie Sanderson. So it's sort of like relevant to it, and that they help me on the coaching side of things. And other organisations have Andy from Mountain Way as they were tailored custom support. That's just a small selection of who I've gone on that coaching journey with. It's not something I expected to be ill. It's totally alien, it really is, and it's taken a long time to get out of that black cloud.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and then and then I'd split from my then partner, baby's mum, and moved to Birmingham, and I was working there, and then I ended up spending lockdown down there, and then moved back up to Yorkshire again, and it was during just pre-lockdown that what I'm doing now is what I started, and that started in Pyrenees through one of the tele programs with Andy Shaw, former Marine Mountain Way. And Andy's a former officer, gone, recruit, King's Badge, top recruit, went officer, top officer. There's only 5 people in history at Marines who've done that, and he'd had an incident in Falklands prior to 2 sisters, and they killed in a blue and blue 4 of the guys from the mortar troop. So he'd gone through his own journey, and then he has a trained psychologist behind the scenes who writes a program for you. So I'm honoured to be a guest on that, and it sort of like mentioned sculpting. So I sculpted a poppy, and I brought some earth back. We're on the HLS in Fob Jackson in Sangin, and I remember just like all troops there we were first troop out, and I just got a Tupperware tub I had with some electrical gear, and just I'll get some at earth, and I hadn't done out with it for years, and then it suggested sculpting. I took it out to France with me, and I made a poppy, and then I just wrote in the poppy, scribed in the clay, or a clay one, just all my feelings, emotions. And 2019, 3 of my mates had taken their own lives. One who were in Power Cadets with. And from my hometown, and another one people might have heard, Ash. He was Mel B's bodyguard. He was in Sangam with us in a different troop, but and it just resurfaced demons I thought I'd dealt with.
Yeah.
So I've gone out with Andy on there, and I really needed that. And we were doing guided reflection and meditation, and tailored program by Pat, one of the leading, well-renowned psychologist, and Andy delivered the content, so it's peer-to-peer support, and especially given what he'd been through, so natural. Didn't have to worry about bootneck speak or anything like that. He just understood me and everything else, and it applies. It does try service personnel. It's not just Marines, and I put the poppy on a mountain called Salvaguardia. It's 9,000 feet. And it's buried there, and you leave your demons there. And since then, it's just evolved in what I'm doing, creativity wise. It's I'm honoured to be doing it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I don't know if I mentioned that I PTSD diagnosed myself as well, but this is why I do this sort of thing. I like going on talking to people, and if people have had issues, and I'm happy to listen and talk back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's the coaching I've gone through. I never touch bollocks to tablets. I haven't really had any involvement with NHS. It's each year on though. You've got to try different ones. If not for you, you've got no rapport with those delivering counselling, coaching. Pick another. Choose another.
Yeah.
Just that's it. You need the help. And the way I look at it is you've had a natural reaction to unnatural circumstances. And there's obviously the circle of concerns and the feeling, emotion, and behaviours associated with certain events, and whether it be survivor's guilt or specific incidents. But you're normal. You're
Yeah,
not to react like that. If you didn't, you'd be psycho. And being part of a club, especially when you leave, identity is very important. And being around other people, but not giving it the victim sketch. You know, you get it a lot online now. Online's obviously more relevant than what it was in 2009 for me. But be the survivor, not the victim. You know, it's like cancer. The survivors, they're not victims. So
yeah,
it's the same analogy, but you can go on a journey and you might suffer for the rest of your life. But you controlling it, it's not controlling you. And that's where the mindset is, the shift. The shift. It's all right to feel emotions. It's all right to bloody, have tears. I were in here with tears,
yeah,
hosting people last weekend. A woman who lost a brother in Falklands, Foxtrot 4, it's now called Foxtrot Juliet, after the leading coxswain, which was obviously a hit in Falklands War. And
yeah,
she shed a tear when she touched the sand, and obviously that then set me off. And then the next day, another woman lost her partner in Falklands, a Royal Marine as well, and it was same shed a tear. And I was bloody hell, but I can see it impact what I'm doing, and
yeah.
the suffer like so. The woman who was with her, she opened up about her son. I can't go into details on here,
That's
obviously.
fine.
But, she, of mental well-being, and she was a qualified nurse. And it's not the family's prerogative to try and fix you. You need specialist help. And
Yeah,
people blame the partners can put blame on themselves and everything else. But your feelings and emotions and the behaviors from it, or any addictions which come as a result of it, or lifestyle is, it can be changed. But you're never going to be, we keep looking back thinking we're still there or we're still there. You're never physically there. And it includes your career. We miss it so much. Everybody thought I were a 22-year guy or whatever. We've got mates who are still serving, but I made the choice to leave. I PVR'd. I just became ill in that period. It wasn't, even though I was diagnosed just as I was leaving, wasn't the reason I left. I still PVR'd, and for those who know, it used to be 18 months notice and it shifted to 12.
yeah,
Which when people think 12 months, long time, it's not, it goes very quick. And yeah, it's just been a long road. And the biggest one's putting your hands up for help, because you feel like you're a failure or you feel all this. No, like asking for help, but like I say, if something's too heavy for you, what are you going to do? You're going to struggle. You'd naturally ask for help. So we
yeah,
need to get over this stigma, and there's still a lot of stigma. I'm involved with legal stuff at the minute. Can't say too much, but it's involving my daughter, and the one of the people involved in her life has got this stigma. So they're trying to categorize it with me. It's like, doesn't affect my daughter, doesn't affect this. Do you know what I mean? If I'm sad,
yeah,
it's a normal emotion.
yeah,
So the people's perceptions of mental health really, they say it's getting better. It is, but it's not there, because if you broke your leg, you would naturally go and get it fixed. Hopefully, somewhere down the line, you'll get physio. So where is you? If you go and get help now, mental wise, where's the aftercare? Where's the physio? There ain't any.
yeah,
There isn't any, and that's something I've noticed. I'm about to beta test something for someone. I'm not going to say who, but he set up a big charity in Scotland, and I'm going to beta test his 30-day program. But we've also got to think as well, what are we doing? I can't blame anything or anyone, and I don't. For if you suffer, you can't go around blaming people. You've just had natural reactions yourself. Is where do you train your mind? So people go to the gym and they train the body. They think it's training the mind. I'm on about actually training your brain exercises. How many people do that?
Yeah.
And you start
No.
getting it like simplifying it, Davey. If you simplify,
Yeah.
not overcomplicate it, what everyone's on about, well, the gym is well-being. Well, yeah, well, you shouldn't suffer then if the gym's giving you that fix. It's obviously not, but we're not training this. We get told that anyway. We're only using a certain percentage of our brains.
Yeah.
But we need to train it. So if that becomes counselling, coaching, whatever else, then it be our own from reading up and then being able to control it or understanding the reasons why more rather than someone telling us actually generally, oh, right, yeah, I get it now. I understand,
Yeah.
my circle of concerns. I don't have to worry about minuscule stuff because I'm focusing on the major and all the minuscule stuff dwindles away. When you're suffering, you focus on everything and it's disjointed. You're worried about everything.
Yeah.
Does
No,
that
you're
make
absolutely right. Yeah, perfect sense to me, mate. Like I say, I, something happened a few years ago with myself, and I got therapy. I went and sorted out as best you can. Went and get therapy. That worked for me. Never taken any tablets. Didn't want them.
no?
Not to say that that's not for other people.
No,
Like
what
for
it
me,
does
it
is
wasn't.
it gives people a chemical balance, what they need
Mm,
at that moment in time, if they need it. Some people do need
yeah,
it. There's no shame in that. I knew myself, I didn't need that. I knew myself, and they were trying to, I were in a place in Somerset, and they're trying to give me them. I'm just like, I just pretended to take them and told them I didn't need them. And I didn't. My
yeah,
mind had been strong before. Why can't I be stronger?
yeah,
I know how strong my brain was because at 18, piss wet through 3 stone, I'd gone and done commando training. So I knew what my mind was capable of, even if it's damaged.
yeah,
Repair. It can,
yeah. Absolutely.
not just commando training. What I'm saying is life events. What happens is like when I went on the mountain way with Andy, we had a conversation to start, opening couple of minutes, just on about certain events, incidents, whatever. And he said, right, Rick, I'll stop you right there. There's 14 things that I've just counted. Each one needs work on. In each one, we work on one and all the others shift away. Each one of them has got to be worked on. So so once you start identifying the ones, the triggers, the linchpins to call them, they will they will get them linchpins. And there's different ways they do that, where you don't have to relive incidents or events in a first person mode. Because people have to remind themselves, and this is why I get told, you're never physically in the past. And it sounds obvious, but you're not physically there.
Yeah.
You never, and that's one of the top guys in Rock's recovery, the lead coach, saying that.
I've never heard that saying before, and that's
Yeah, Malcolm
absolutely
Williams, his name. I'll
it's
mention it.
100% right, isn't it?
Yeah, and Foxy mentions Malcolm in his book. Um, um, and Malcolm used to come up to my house every Friday when I was in a place called Shipley, and we'd have one-to-one coaching. So basically, they're tapping into your subconscious while you're conscious. Very powerful, and you're in third person mode. You're never in
Yeah,
the incident. You're over the incident if it's a specific incident, and he'll find the linchpin. He will find it. And once he's got that linchpin, that's it. Just all your emotions, just you feel on top like helium. You feel top of the world, and you'll see it. You'll feel it, and he'll see it, and he knows it's coming because as soon as you get it, you'll realize yourself. And it's high. Only analogy I'll use is could say someone's, but it's not to do with me, and they're generally not. But like for example, it could be someone's been assaulted and so they're down on the floor, and this example given to me actually, it could be so. This is a linchpin: is they've said something during the assault, but they can't quite pinpoint it. A proper trained coach will find it, and they'll find that linchpin, and obviously the triggers come from that, and it's one thing, and they can sort it in 1 or 2 counselling sessions. Like I said before, if it's got 14 or 15 and you've
yeah,
said an overview, you've got to deal with each one. So it's not saying each one's going to sort your life out because it's not. or one, sorry. And it could be that they say, "Oh, please don't hurt me," because they're not a fighter. They haven't got that, within the amygdala, the fight or flight. But until they get to that point of "please don't hurt me," even if they've had a kick in afterwards and before and during and whatever, or sexually assaulted or whatever else, it's finding somewhere in that incident is that linchpin. And it's same in a military context, not just a suicide bomber going off, an IED going off, contact, one of the lads getting shot. Do you know what I mean? It's just something in there which is bringing you to that. I know sounds and smells do that, but there's something in there. And once they get that linchpin, and this is my understanding of it, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it, but my understanding is once they get that, you will start healing. But you've got to want to heal as well.
Yeah.
Some people just aren't quite ready, or they might have addiction and stuff. So they've got to deal with one thing at a time, and it becomes a vicious circle. Thankfully, I never turned to drink. I went the other way, actually. I'm quite teetotal when I left corps.
I was the opposite.
Yeah. Well,
I was the opposite, but
it's
sort of, I knew when I was getting out of control, and that's when I decided, I was like, right, I need to go and sort it out.
And self-analysis is key.
Yeah.
You got to commend yourself for self-analysis as well, because if you can identify when you're ill, beer's taken too much, that means you're in charge of it. You're in charge of it, and you've got to reflect on that because it shows how powerful the mind is. But people don't give themselves credit for it. But that, if you use that and allow that of self-analysis, I can feel myself this, I can identify things. It allows you to heal. It allows you to get help. It allows you to continue, like they're saying, post-traumatic growth, because it's constant work in progress. And it's like I was saying about training the brain. But self-analysis is crucial to measuring your progression.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you know it's getting out of control, when you action, like your action's on, you're starting to control it. That's fine. It's more than
that. So, Rick, just before we finish up, that piece sat behind you.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a bit about that, mate? That is absolutely outstanding.
Masterpieces in current exhibition. I'll just do it down. You can see some at bottles. So it's just got a piece of wood there with a Union Jack coffin flag in, and it's my one. It'll go on mine, when I meet my maker, hopefully. And this Union flag I've done, it's got 7.62 bullets in and 5 cylinders. I've cut the percussion caps off. It's 308 poppies. That ain't significant to us, it's just the size of the frame. And then in the red poppies, other than the sow tires, I'll go this way, that way. They've got different earth and sands in, as you can see, with the bottles. And now I sculpt poppies, and I do metal poppies as well as other things under the name of the Conflict Collection. And it started with, as I chatted with about the Sangin Earth, and then it just went from there. And I do normally personalised poppies with the regiments in. And then, so you could have served Iraq, Northern Ireland, I can put that in, and people send me it. And this piece, it just wanted to be, because I'm doing a current exhibition in Halifax in West Yorkshire, it's took me between 6-7 months to create this. And I've hand sculpted every single one, painted them, cut every cylinder, put the earth and sands in, from First World War all the way up to Ukraine. We're out in Ukraine last year with Dean. And I brought some back from there, and other people, they've sent me it from all over. So we're building up a bit of a community, but there's a lot of people who've lost the loved ones, the sons, etc., or distant relatives of wars gone by, So I'm just constantly trying to collect other ones. Oman, Korea, got people working on Palestine, because Palestine was the first operational deployment and since World War II, not just because it's currently in use now, where we lost personnel. So I'm doing all that research on that as well. And it just becomes a personal unique gift, and I've raised a lot of money for charity, and I'm doing this under the arts charity at Dean Clough called ACDC. And I've got different things on here, and it's running till end of month. So it's just, yeah, I'm proud to be British. It's got a bit of purple hue for where the Scottish is, but for the blue, I've tried keeping true to the Union flag itself. But the battleship grey behind it is obviously a little nod to me. The weapons, the empty cylinders, or the percussion caps is my background as weapons in Marines. So little touches to me and for everyone else. The red being military, white peace poppy, as we know, and that's been going 90 years. And just something new, what people think. The purple one's more newer. It's obviously around mid 2000s. But I've just put a purple hue into the blue, so you get it's subtle, and obviously people know that as for the animals, and we know from serving we detection dogs, sniffer dogs, as it were, and your attack dogs, they get injured, they get killed. So there's something, the innocence of war, the military, and we should be proud to, irrespective of independences and stuff, it's still our flag currently. And Damien Lewis shouted this out on his page, and some of the comments, it's just like, I'm not trying to be political. The poppy's not political. I've asked to do custom poppies for people, and even UKIP, the leader, got in touch with me, and I said my poppy's not the poppy, or the poppies I create are not political. So it's going to have either a regimental centre, or it's going to have a bullet, or what you want. We're create, but don't bring politics into it. It's not to do with that. And I'm really proud of it, to be honest. It's taken a long time. It's over 1.5 meters wide, and
it's on its mate. It's really, really impressive, and it's the thought that's went into it, and the explanation you just gave there about all the thought that's went into that. Well done, mate. It's absolutely amazing. So it is.
Thank you.
It really is absolutely amazing, mate.
Yeah, I'm proud of that. And then just for your audience, it's just done like the metal poppies here. Just for examples, I've done the first 4 in order: senior service, how you'd stand at the cenotaph, and then the other 2 on the end is the tri-service one. These are Queen's Crown, and then the Veterans Badge logo. So obviously from that side, Navy, Marines, Army, Air Force. There's other stuff in my collection, gin glasses. I do a timer to 2 minutes and personalise that and put the earth and sand in from people's operational areas to artworks with the earth and sand itself, as well as drawings. So that's sort of like my therapy. Drawing, sculpting, doing creations, and then keeping memories alive or stories alive. I had a guy today, I was speaking with Royal Engineer Bomb Disposal in Falklands. Fantastic stories, unbelievable. But the people I'm coming into touch with doing it, Chris Ryan, he's been a big supporter. Damien Lewis, Will Carlin, Foxy's shouted me out. When these people have got big audiences on Instagram, it helps me raise money back for charity.
Yeah.
I'll ask people most of the time. I'll ask them, where do you want me to donate? And it's everything from British Legion to, I've done children's cancer charities. It's selling some at work I do, but it's sort of like my therapy, and I've been doing it 4 years now. And I've been lucky. I'm a resident artist here at what's known as Dean Clough Mills, one of, and I've just tied my exhibition into the remembrance period, which, for me, doing military art and the earth and sands is fantastic. And people send me it, and the stories are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unreal, mate, So I think I've waffled enough on you.
Oh, no. Listen, thanks very much for coming on, and what you do is absolutely amazing. It really is. And thanks for taking the time to show us some of your artwork as well, and more importantly, share your story.
Yeah, thank you.
But one thing that I will say, and it's I've done maybe 6 of these now, and every one of them I get feedback that the stories help people.
Yeah.
You know, if people are struggling a bit, and especially what you're telling me there, I get feedback after people and they say that's helped me massively, whether it's geared me up to go and get a bit of help or whatever
Yeah.
it may be. So thanks very much for that. And really, all that work, I can see thought goes into every single bit of that. So absolutely amazing, mate. So thanks for your time, and we'll call it a day there.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you, Debbie.